Today's lesson is about figurative language. Figurative language is a kind of language that authors or writers use to make their writing or the story that they are writing more interesting. Okay, and I've started off by using an example. It's raining cats and dogs. Okay, and what the sentence means actually is not that the snow is letting down cats and dogs, but that's another way of saying that it's raining heavily. Okay, it's a more interesting way. If you can imagine that you're standing and cats and dogs are falling, so can you imagine what the rain is like that this writer is trying to describe? There are two types of figurative language that we're going to cover this lesson. The first one is the first ones are called similes. Okay, and this is when I'm comparing between two things using the word like or as in my sentence. Okay, so I compare between two things. I have one thing and I have another thing, and I'm comparing between these two things using the word as or like to say how they are alike. For example, his eyes were as blue as the seawater. So I'm comparing between his eyes, the color of his eyes, and the color of seawater. Now we all know what color seawater is, okay? This lovely turquoise blue. Okay, so I'm saying his eyes, and I didn't use the word color, but when we say as seawater, that means I'm probably talking about their color. His eyes were as blue as the seawater. Okay, I didn't use the word color because I used the word blue here. Okay, and then my second sentence, I'm comparing between the sun is like a hot ball of fire, because I can imagine what a hot ball of fire is like, and that's how hot the sun is. Okay, so I'm saying I'm trying to compare between the sun and how hot it is, so I'm using a hot ball of fire to compare the sun with, so that you can imagine how really hot the sun is. Okay. The other type of figurative language that we're covering today, they are called metaphors. And metaphors, they compare between two things, but they are just saying how one thing is another without using as or like. Okay, and the first example, the kids in the class are all brains. Okay, so I'm saying the kids are brains. This is another way of saying that the kids are all really smart. Okay, because we know brains is used for thinking and for smartness. Okay, so what this sentence is really saying is that all the kids in the class are all really smart. And the second example, your friend is a big baby. So I'm comparing between friend and baby. And what I'm probably trying to say about this friend is that he acts like a baby. He probably cries a lot and doesn't know how to do many things by himself, and so that is why he's being compared to a big baby. It's a more interesting way. Okay, instead of saying my friend can't do this or my friend cries a lot, I just say my friend is a big baby. It's not nice to call a friend a big baby, but it's one way to describe if that's what they act like. Okay, and using similes and metaphors again is to make my writing more interesting. Okay, and remember that they are always compared to things that people are familiar with. So we compared the color of someone's eyes with the sea, because everybody knows what color the sea is. We compared how smart kids are using the word brain, because that's where all the smartness is. Okay, we compared between the behavior of a friend of mine being like the behavior of a baby, because everybody knows what babies are like. They cry a lot, they whine a lot, they don't know how to do anything by themselves when they're young. Okay, and then finally I've written a couple more examples. Two of them are similes and one of them is a metaphor. The first one is the simile using the word like. Puffins are like small penguins, because puffins look like penguins, they are very similar in their looks. So if somebody doesn't know what a puffin is, but at least they know what a penguin is. That is familiar to people. Penguins are very familiar to people. The second one, he is as quiet as a mouse. Why did I use his quietness why am I comparing his quietness to that of a mouse? Because mice are very quiet. You usually don't hear them. Even if they scurry across the class, if you don't see them, you don't hear them. Okay? And number 3, he has a heart of stone. Now, what is a stone like? A stone is cold, so this person with a heart of stone is probably not very friendly. Okay, that's probably what I'm trying to say about him. If I say he has a heart of stone, I'm probably saying that he's not very sympathetic. Okay, this is not a friendly person. And this is it for our lesson about similes and metaphors. Don't forget that in similes we use the word like or as, and as is used twice in the sentence. As is used twice, okay? It comes once before the adjective and then another time after the adjective. Okay? Thank you very much, grade 4. Bye-bye.